All right, what is up, everybody? I hope you're all having a great day today because I'm here to give you the absolute definitive top 5 RPGs of all time ranking, and it's not going to include any subjectivity, bias, or favoritism, man. Definitely none of that.
Why you pulling me? I'm right.
But this video is going to include a somewhat, but not really, detailed explanation about why each game is where it is on my list and why they are one of the best RPGs of all time. Now, before I get into the actual list, I wanted to start off with some honorable mentions, and those are going to be Red Dead Redemption 2 and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So the reason I got RDR2 in honorable mentions is because although I think the story is absolutely fantastic, great voice acting, great writing, the gameplay is amazing, I just didn't really ever have the need to go back to it, and I feel like the best RPGs have that replayability, and Red Dead Redemption 2 just didn't really have that in my opinion. Now, for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I probably would have had it in this top 5 if I had had more time with the game. I did beat the game, I've put over 100 hours into it, but for recency bias purposes, I did not want to put it in this top 5 because who knows, maybe 2 years down the road, I won't think it's as good as I think it is right now. But in all transparency, I do think it will be in that top 5 sooner rather than later. All right, for the fifth greatest RPG of all time, we got Horizon Forbidden West. Nah, I'm obviously just kidding, guys. All right, starting at number 5, none other than The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 to me is easily in the top 5 best RPGs of all time, and I think majority of RPG fans also agree. The voice acting is incredible. You could see it through and through with every character: Dandelion, Ciri, Geralt. All of these characters have phenomenal voice actors, and the writing is fucking fantastic, as everyone knows. And of course, this game also has a ton of replayability. There's so many different options for you to take involving quest lines or romances with story outcomes, different endings. The list goes on. This game has amazing choice and consequences, which is what you want in any RPG. The Witcher 3 has a phenomenal map with a ton of places to discover, a ton of point of interest. The quests in each of the various regions of the game are also great. You know, The Witcher 3 just honestly hits in every single category. And I didn't even talk about the gameplay. And I think the gameplay, for one, is actually underrated. I think a lot of people talk about how they don't like the combat that much. And I honestly think that's ridiculous. I think that's crazy because The Witcher 3 has some of the smoothest, most buttery combat I've ever played. I love how there's this intertwining of sword combat mixed with magic, and I love how there's actually a sense of strategy in the game. The fact that certain enemies are weak to certain magic, so you got to prepare when you're going to fight whatever monster you're hunting or whoever you're fighting against. You have to strategize: what magic am I going to use, which sword am I going to use, how am I going to use it, how am I going to split my time between the sword and the magic. It's just very well done, and it's always rewarding when you fight people in The Witcher 3. You know, very few games are able to do everything well, and The Witcher 3 is one of those games where it does absolutely everything well, and that is why it's at number 5 on my list. Now, on to number 4, we got the game that started it all for me, Fallout 3. So, in terms of classic Western RPGs, Fallout 3 was the first one I've ever played, so that's why I say it started it all. This game is a masterpiece to me, and it will always hold a special place in my heart. I recently went back to play it with mods, obviously, and stuff like that, and it holds up to this day. Fantastic game in terms of all the choices you can make. The quest design is probably the best in any Bethesda game. I don't think that's a stretch to say that.
That's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous to say that.
I think it's better than New Vegas. I think it's better than Skyrim. I think it's better than mostly every Western RPG in terms of just the design. Not saying the writing is as good as some of these other games you're going to see on this list, but in terms of strictly design, I think it's absolutely fantastic. No game since has been able to do what Fallout did to me and get me locked in like that when I was a little kid. Just absolutely insane. You know, the vibe and the atmosphere of the Fallout games is done to perfection, especially in Fallout 3. I really felt like I was in the wasteland. You know, there are very few games that can actually transport you to this location and have that level of immersion. Fallout 3 is just a masterpiece in that aspect, and not to mention the replayability is also incredible. You could replay this game as many times as you want, really. I've got probably over 500 hours in Fallout 3, if not more. I think that's actually cutting it a little short. But yeah, great voice acting. Liam Neeson's in the game, for fuck's sakes. It's fucking amazing. The gameplay is great. The combat is crunchy. The VAT system is so fun. I really don't get that level of gore and satisfaction in games anymore. The closest thing I could probably say to it is like Dead Island 2. If anyone's played Dead Island 2, also a shout. What a fucking great game. But yeah, Fallout 3, if you're an RPG fan, this is one of the GOATs. All right, now coming in at number 3 is a bit of an unorthodox pick, and that's because many people probably don't even know this game unless you're a real gamer. But this game is one of the best of all time, and it does technically qualify as an RPG, and that is none other than Paper Mario and the Thousand-Year Door. If you have never played this game, let me tell you, this is one of the greatest adventures you will ever go on as a gamer. Unreal. In my opinion, this is Nintendo's greatest game they've ever made in terms of story, gameplay. It's a turn-based game, but it doesn't take away from the gameplay at all. In fact, it probably just makes it better. The progression and the leveling system is perfect in my opinion. I legitimately wouldn't change anything about it. As the game goes on, you get more and more powerful, you get more and more abilities, and it just scales perfectly with the game itself. Each and every character in this game has their time to shine, and they're all written to perfection. Each one of your companions has their own charm, has their own motivation, has their own backstory, kind of like an anime in that sense, And, many of these stories are actually like very emotional. It'll actually have you feeling away, which is not something I could say for most Nintendo games. I don't really have that same experience with other Nintendo games that I do with Paper Mario because, the Paper Mario franchise in general, I just think is the best at that in terms of Nintendo's catalog. So if you want a great story with great gameplay, great characters, Paper Mario is literally the best you're going to get, especially if you're a Nintendo fan. And what's crazy is I haven't even talked about the hands down best quality that Paper Mario the Thousand-Year Door has to offer, and that is its level design. There is a hub world at the beginning which lets you go to each different location, which represents each different chapter, and each chapter is very unique and always culminates in a boss battle, which is incredible. All the bosses are unique as well, and it's going to take different strategic measures to beat each and every one of them. How are you going to manage your badge points, your flower points? You have to make sure every move you make is done with intention, or you're going to die in this game. It's not that easy for a Nintendo game. There are some challenging boss battles. And none of the levels feel repetitive. It really doesn't feel like you're ever doing the same thing in this game. There's always a different battle to be had. There's always a different motivation for each one of the characters in every chapter. And there's really not much else I have to say about it. If you have not played this game, definitely go and do that ASAP. Number 3 on my list, absolutely objective and no subjectivity at all in here. All right, coming in at number 2 on this top 5 RPGs list is Cyberpunk 2077, the single greatest narrative in any RPG game ever made. Incredible characters, incredible voice acting. Keanu Reeves absolutely kills it. I always play as male V, so I don't know how good female V is. I've heard her little snippets here and there. I think Male V is one of the best voice actors in any role of any RPG ever, and I just think the cast of characters in this game is downright incredible. The romance options, Judy's not really a romance option, but as a friend, she's amazing unless you play Female V. Panam, the best romance option character in any RPG, hands down, full stop. And the story in general, incredible. The journey V takes with Johnny Silverhand is one of the best dynamics in all of video games, and not even just video games, in any medium. I genuinely think it's one of the greatest stories ever told, and that ending, man.
Goodbye, V. And never stop fighting.
Now, this ending genuinely left me feeling empty inside. I cannot say I've ever had this type of experience in a video game story before, but at this point in time, I already knew this was probably the best story I've ever experienced. I don't care what anyone has to say. I think it's better than Red Dead Redemption 2, God of War. Nothing touches Cyberpunk 2077, in my opinion. Now, of course, the ending obviously depends on which choices you made in the game, but in my specific ending, saying about a Johnny Silverhand, going outside of Night City with Pan Am. One of the most surreal feelings I've ever had, and I'll never experience something like that again, hands down. And I haven't really even started to talk about the gameplay itself, which is incredible. I know there's not really like all the choice and consequences you might want in an RPG. There is tons, but it's not really up to the level of, like, let's say Kingdom Come Deliverance. But to be honest, that doesn't matter to me because the combat is so good, so smooth. The gore is just right. The physics are fantastic. All the choices you can play with. If you want to use melee weapons, you want to be like a ninja, Sandevistan, you want to be a gunslinger, you can do that. The options are really endless in Cyberpunk, and that's just another reason why it's number 2 for me. The quest design is very good as well. You know, they give you a ton of freedom with how to attack each and every mission. I can't really say they handcuff you in any way because they don't. They really do give you that pure freedom that you want in an RPG. So in my opinion, the combination of incredible story, great combat and gameplay, you know, great freedom of choice that it gives you, it has to be number 2 on my list. Now, as with all lists, there can only be one number 1. And I don't care what anyone has to say, this opinion is not an opinion, it's a fact. The greatest RPG of all time is none other than The Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim. Now, this might be a little corny, but I've seen this being said multiple times specifically about Skyrim, and it is when you feel homesick for a place that you can never actually go, and that is the perfect description of Skyrim. This game in 2011 was legit my entire life. That's a little sad. But I played this game so much that it genuinely feels like home. When I listen to the soundtrack, I get this feeling, a warm, fuzzy feeling. I quite literally know the map like the back of my hand. I don't need a map. I can get to every major location on the map without using a compass, map, whatever it is. I can just go there because I memorized it. I played it so much. And it's just hands down one of the best experiences in gaming. Nothing can hit like just loading up a Skyrim playthrough and being in the world. I have to play at least once or twice a year, guaranteed. I don't care how long it takes me to set up a mod list. I'm going to be playing Skyrim every single year for the rest of my life, hopefully. This game is genuinely just the pinnacle of gaming, in my opinion. I know there's like boomer takes that, oh, the Skyrim RPG mechanics are not even that good. Bro, you're a fucking loser. Just shut up and play the game. Like, Skyrim's not even that good. You know, the gameplay's not, there's no choice and consequence. Yeah, you know, like, these takes always piss me off because at the time when it came out, everyone knew that Skyrim was like the best game that ever came out and no one was shy about it. Everyone played the game. No one disliked the game. Now, obviously, 10 years later, you got fucking elitists pretending that, oh, I never even liked Skyrim. Yes, you did. You probably played fucking 1,000 hours of the game, and so did everyone else because it's just that good. The cultural impact alone is a reason that this game could be on the top 5 RPGs list. I mean, people still quote this game to this day, you know, took an arrow to the knee. Everything about Skyrim is elite. You know, there's a reason that Skyrim is still played heavily 15 years after its release. The game's replayability is on another level, especially because of the mod support that the community has. And obviously you got to thank the community for all the mods they make and keeping the game interesting. You know, to this day, you could still go online and see debates about Stormcloak versus Imperial, you know, killing Parthenax and siding with the Blades or not doing that. Could I download a mod so I can kill the Blades? Like, there's so many different things that make Skyrim great. And there's just not enough time in this video for me to explain it. Maybe down the line I'll make a full video, a love letter to Skyrim, why it's the greatest of all time. But for now, I think everyone knows this is hands down the greatest RPG of all time. Alright guys, that's it for this RPG list. Thanks for watching. There's no point in arguing with me because this is all facts. There's no bias, no favoritism. Like, comment, subscribe. See you in the next one.